Hello and welcome to Not One Right Way, the podcast. It's your host, Melissa Manuel, she, her, and
it's me, Marve Medawagi they, them, theirs.
How are you, Marv?
I'm doing so good. Had a very restful weekend. As you know, and at this point, as our listeners know, I'm almost exclusively watching Hallmark Christmas rom-coms.
Yep.
I did have to take a break today, but that's the vibe. That's what we're going with. I'm satisfied.
I'm glad you're doing so well, and that the Hallmark Christmas rom-coms are nourishing that for you.
Yes. How are you?
I'm doing good. I just finished watching also a Christmas special, the Sabrina Carpenter nonsense one on Netflix. It was nonsense, but there were pretty costumes and silly little songs and little sketches, so that was wonderful. I enjoyed that very much.
Okay. Recommendation?
I would recommend it if you like, I guess, Sabrina Carpenter, and if you don't, I wouldn't watch it because it's a lot of Sabrina Carpenter.
Dang, the Sabrina Carpenter Christmas special features Sabrina Carpenter heavily.
Heavily, yeah. There's some fun costume changes. I wouldn't say all of them are winners.
Okay.
Like if I had to do a ranking on the costumes, I'll send it to you later. Some of them are, I would not recommend she does that again.
Okay, got it.
But overall fun. Good. I like how silly it is. Like more content should just be silly to be silly. Like it's not that serious. And I appreciated that from the special.
Yeah. And I love that for you. Enjoy some silly content. Stop watching Star Wars Rebels.
Okay, I am still watching Star Wars Rebels. I watched a lot of that this morning, and that was very serious. There was a lot of murders, and like the parallels of the politics in Star Wars Rebels and where we're at as a society are very crisp. I'm just saying.
There's a lot of overlap.
It's a circle.
It's a circle. Got it.
So I gotta take a break sometimes and watch something silly. Yeah. It gets too real.
Yeah.
Anyway, we have an amazing guest today. Good segue. I'm very excited. This is a long time coming. We've had to schedule this far out because they're so talented and busy. They're an old co-worker of mine. They worked with me at Mind Show and are now a professor. The official title is Assistant Professor of Practice of Animation and Games at the University of Texas. Please join me in welcoming Sing. I don't want to butcher your name, Sing, so I'm going to let you introduce yourself.
Sing Khamnouane. Yeah. No worries. My son still struggles with it, and he's in kindergarten. So, but yeah, I'm excited to be here. Just chatting with you guys.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, no worries. I'm glad our schedule finally worked out. So
yeah,
me too.
So Sing, a little bit more of a background on me. So I'm a social worker. I have an advanced degree in social work. That's what I do professionally. So usually when I'm sitting down with people, it's like we're starting off intensity level 10. Mm-hmm. That's kind of what the energy we're bringing to this podcast as well. So my first question for you is...
I'm nervous. But I'm ready.
Would an either or question be good for you?
Yes. That okay. I'll take whatever you deliver. Yes.
Mulled cider or mulled wine?
Honestly, I would say cider. Yes. Cider. Aligned. But I would take not either or, but I would take both if you would give it to me.
I saw some mulling spices in the grocery store today, and I was like, ooh, maybe a little mulled drink tree beverage. Sounds very good. And I agree. Mulled cider.
Yes.
Definitely my drink of choice.
Good answer.
Do you have a favorite hot beverage?
So far, right now, what lately I've been doing is apple cider with with some cinnamon sticks, and then a pinch of bourbon here, just to just to just to make it a little bit more exciting. But yeah, that's my go-to lately. It's the holiday, so apple cider is my go.
I have a bonus question for you, Sing. 'Tis the season. Do you have a favorite holiday movie?
Die Hard.
Yeah.
Controversial.
Yes, but other than that, I still like Elf. I really, really enjoy Elf. Every time that's on TV, I just sit there and just watch it wherever it started.
It just draws you in.
Yes. Yeah, it just draws you in. And then, old school Will Ferrell is pretty hilarious and goofy. And that's how I try to emulate my life, is old school Will Ferrell.
Got it.
You give it off.
Yes.
You give off that energy.
Yes. I don't know if that's a compliment or a thing, but I
think it's a compliment because
yes.
old school Will Ferrell just makes people happy. Just cheerful and funny.
Yes. And I would one day like to dance with that ribbon. I don't know what it's called, but the one he did in the movie Old School. That's my goal. That's my dream.
An achievable goal, I would say.
Yes.
You could take a class.
Yes, maybe they'll offer at the school I'm working at.
You show up with the students, be like, I'm here to learn.
Yes. And hopefully I don't have to pay tuition. They give me a hookup. They give me a hookup.
Well, Sing, I'm really excited to chat with you because we only worked together for a short time at Mind Show before you left to be a professor. So this is my chance to learn a bunch about you. Can you share with the listeners and with Marv and I a little bit about how you got started in the animation industry? Did you always work in it, or did you switch careers? Can you give us a little bit about your backstory?
Yeah. So when I was a kid, I always liked to, draw, do art. But, our parents never like, oh, you can be an artist when you grow up, right? My parents always push either do medical, the typical medical, law, or engineer. So yeah, when I graduated as a senior in high school, I was like, I didn't really think about it. Before then in college, I was in a robot club. Yeah, I was pretty cool, right?
The coolest.
The coolest. We built Lego robots, and then we programmed it, and they did obstacle course, and we actually went to state. So I was like, I'll just do that. So I went to college, and I was like, I'm just gonna be an electrical engineer because I believe they're gonna build cool robots. And then my first semester and doing electrical engineer, it was not building robots. It was a lot about diagrams, circuits. And then I had to take physics, mechanical heat, and in my head, I was like, this is not what I want to do for sure. And then luckily I took an elective, and it was a Photoshop class, surprisingly. It was Photoshop class. Before then, I never knew what Photoshop was. I only drew, pencil and paper. I really enjoyed it. And then the next semester, I took a 3D modeling class, Maya. I've never heard of what 3D modeling is, what Maya is. Back then, Toy Story just came out. I just dated myself. I think that was like 1999. Toy Story came out, and nobody around my circle knew that, you can make a living doing this kind of work, right? So I took that, and I realized, I'm really enjoying this. Spending most of my time just randomly just modeling anything I see. And then my sophomore year, I decided to just switch my degree without really telling my parents.
They didn't need to know.
Yeah. And then, and after that, 3 years, I started doing, more modeling. Before then, it was pretty still early on. There wasn't a lot of resources like now. YouTube was still starting, so I couldn't really find tutorials online. I had to buy DVDs from Noman School. Yeah, and those were pretty pricey as a college student. Right? They're like $50 or $100. and then we would just share it amongst classmates. And then when I graduated, I just felt like I wasn't ready yet, and I felt like maybe one day I might teach, you know.
Hmm.
So I was like, I'm just gonna spend 2 more years getting a master's in Master of Fine Arts, just in case I kind of fall back if my plan as working as a 3D artist doesn't really pan out. I can maybe teach at a community college or high school. So those 2 years, I was able to just network around. I did a couple freelance gigs. I did everything. I did graphic design for an insurance company that we built logos for. I did pamphlets, and then eventually I got lucky when one of my programmer friend knew a person who was starting a game company in Austin, and he was looking for a 3D artist. And before then, I did not know how to do anything that's related to the game. But when they asked me if I knew, and I was like, yes, I do. I can do it. So
you make it.
Yeah, so basically, those 2 years when I was getting my MFA, I freelanced for this game company, and I was kind of just learning as I go. And I feel like I'm still doing that now. And then when I got my MFA, I believe in spring of 2008, I felt like, okay, I'm gonna send my demo reel out. And back then, there wasn't any ArtStation or any website. You actually have to burn it on a CD-ROM and then mail it to each studio individually. And then it's kind of like you just write the, let's say DreamWorks. You don't even know who the recruiter is because it's really is. LinkedIn wasn't that popular yet back then, or that I knew. So I just put recruiting department DreamWorks, and then I would send it to all these big studios. And then Kelly, one of the recruiter from DreamWorks, actually contacted me, and she's like, she saw some promise, but she was like, just keep on working. And then that year from summer to fall, I just kept on working. I did a couple more local freelancing gigs just to support myself, and so honestly, to support myself, so I don't have to like go back to mom and dad's like, hey, I'm so sorry, I switched degree. I need help. Basically trying to prove myself like I can do this. And then at the end of 2008, I have never heard of this Disney trainee program, which was kind of like a program where they bring in recently graduate students, and they bring you in, they train you up for I believe 3 months, and then if they like you, they'll keep you on. So at the end of 2008. One of the recruiter there, Matt Roberts, he's still there. Yeah, he contacted me, and yeah, he contacted me on my phone. I was actually, I don't remember. I think I was at like a family house. It was so loud, and he just randomly contacted me, and he's like, yeah, you sent this DVD out a while back, the one I sent maybe 6 months ago. We were wondering you have a more updated reel. We like where we like what you had, but we're wondering if you can send another, DVD. And so I sent that out. And then after the holidays, 2009, they're like, yeah, we have this program. We're bringing modelers and riggers. We want to, it's called a trainee program. Well, we'll come get the experience. And if we would like you can have kind of like a run a picture contract for the next movie. And it went fast. It was within, I say 3 weeks, I was driving from Dallas past Albuquerque, past Flagstaff, my brother and I, and we were like, we're going, let's go. And then we stopped at Vegas.
Yeah, of course.
And then, because we never been, and then finally reached to Burbank, and I didn't have a place to stay. And then my brother's like, so what's the plan? I was like, I have no idea.
We're in Burbank.
We're in Burbank. We rented. I was like, okay, I have money to stay at this extended stay for a week. Let me try to find a studio somewhere. And then he was like, well, I have to go back. I'll see you later. So he flew back. And then, yeah, I looked through Craigslist. Luckily, I found, I think, like a pool house that I was able to rent. And then a week later, I started at Disney as a trainee. And then I was there. They trained us up. We worked on a short called TikTok Tales. I was fortunate to be there while they were. It was in a boat. They were working on Princess and the Frog. So I was able to see they're probably the most talented people still I've ever seen. Those 2D artists. Glenn Keane was there, Eric Goldberg was there, just the old school 2D guys. And yeah, if I was young, so I was like, oh, cool, but
surrounded by legends, and you're just
now looking back, I was like, oh man, I should have bugged them a little bit more. When you're there, you just everything just happens so fast. But yeah, they liked me, so they kept me on. Back then, Tango was actually called Rapunzel. So they kept me on Tango, and I worked on it until I believe almost fall of 2010. And unfortunately, Princess and the Frog didn't do that well. So
crazy.
They had, of course, yeah, I know. I still love it. But so there was a delay. They were gonna make a movie called Ice Queen in 2D, which eventually became Frozen.
It's gonna be
but
2D.
There was that,
we were robbed.
And then they had another 3D movie that was, I forgot what it's called, but that got delayed too. So of course, when a project is delayed, and if you're on a runner picture contract, I never knew this. Young Sing thought, I'm at Disney, I'm gonna be working here forever, right?
Mm-hmm.
I never knew how the industry worked, So when they call me, and they did one by one, they had to let us go because they can't float a whole modeling team for 6 months, right? 6 months. So I was devastated. Because I was like, I'm here in this state by myself at a place that I actually thought I would be working here for a very, very long time. Everyone was really nice, but unfortunately, it's sometimes it just doesn't pan out, right? So I was devastated. I actually, first phone call was my mom. I always call my mom if something happens. So I called her, and she was like, parents always say, come back home, right? So I actually drove back home because I just needed that support. I drove back home, and it took me a whole summer just trying to figure out what I needed to do because I worked so hard, and then I reached to a point where I thought, this is a great company, unlimited cereal, bagel Fridays, all these Disneyland all the time you want, right? And then it gets stripped away from you as a mid 20s, late 20s version thing. Yeah, it took a long time, but luckily I had a friend who was the animator at RealFX in Dallas. To be frank, I lived in Dallas forever. I went to school in University of Texas at Dallas. I never knew there was an animation company called RealFX right by my house.
Yeah.
So he introduced me, and then I just made I just showed them all my work, and fall of 2010, they hired me, and I took the job, and I worked there for 2 weeks, and Disney actually called me back. Yeah. So and they're like, oh, we're gonna be starting, I think, Wreck-It Ralph. I know, we love working with you if you want to come, but I was like, I can't, I just took this job, and it's where my family is too. So it's, I felt like but I still go back, like, in the movies, like if future scene goes
what
back,
if?
maybe there's a what if, but it's totally fine. I am so happy with my life right now, so I would not change anything. I worked at RealFX from 2000, was it 10 all the way until 2022. So 12 years.
What?
12 years. So before RealFX never made a movie, they did a bunch of shorts, Looney Tunes shorts. We did a lot of rides, like a lot of Universal Studio rides. But they were just trying to ramp up to make their own movies, and I was able to, as they grew, I grew with them too. I started off just a regular modeler, then I became senior character modeler, and then eventually I became a character lead modeler for them for, I forgot, it's for me like four to five movies, I believe. But then 2022, well, I felt like even before that, I just kept doing the same thing over and over again. You get characters, you model it, you push it through, and then movie comes out and you get another one. So it was kind of stagnant. And in 2002, one of my friend, Kevin, he actually interviewed at Mind Show as the character modeling supervisor. But he decided to go to Animal Logic instead. So he recommended me, and then the recruiter from Mind Show just contacted me out of the blue, and they were like, "Hey, we're wondering if you're, looking." I wasn't really looking; it just appeared, and I just thought, it'd be a new challenge, something different yet still similar, as something I can pivot and still feel comfortable. Since it's gonna be evolving modeling, which I've been doing for a little bit over a decade, but it'll be more of a new tech and a leadership role. And then, yeah, I was there until, I believe, I don't remember, 2024, August 2024. And then again, I wasn't really looking for a job. I love my team at my show. Everyone was really cool, especially a person named Melissa. She was awesome. And then one of my friends that I used to work at Real Effects was a professor at University of Texas in Dallas, and she actually retired early, so there was an open slot, and she's like, "Hey, seeing there's an opening here for you that's," she felt, perfect for your skill set if you want it. And, as you get older, I guess your perspective and your goals kind of pivot a little bit, right? When you're younger, it's all about just trying to work on the coolest thing, trying to get all the credits. But as you have kids, family, you're like, well, the industry is kind of shaky at the moment, right? Long-term wise, maybe this new career field, being as a professor, might be the more, I guess, I don't want to sound like, I settle, but more of a safer and stable path for a person who's trying to raise a family, because being stable and being consistent is very important if you're trying to raise a kid, right? Because I didn't want to uproot my family, if something happened to me at my show and had to make them move to Canada or West Coast or East Coast. So yeah, and then I just wrapped up my first semester as assistant professor
of practice.
Of practice, yes, at University of Texas at Dallas. I'm still trying to get used to the title. Yes,
well,
and that's how I'm here in front of this camera talking to you.
Thank you for sharing.
Yes, hopefully that was not
crazy story.
Too long. Yes.
No, there's a lot to go back to. It's kind of like a nice full circle, because you had mentioned at the beginning wanting to teach, and now here you are teaching.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I really enjoy as being a lead and supervisor, is actually onboarding artists, just teaching them and showing them and just watching them grow and gain confidence as the project goes on, and then just see them become a butterfly. It's amazing.
That's so sweet. I do remember you telling me that when we worked together.
Yeah, so it's no lie. See, I said it twice.
Yeah. So then, would you say your position now is like emerging caterpillars or butterflies fresh from the chrysalis?
Yeah, it's very interesting, because I feel like, I still have passion for modeling and 3D, but the longer you're in here, I don't want to say jaded, but the passion is not as fiery or burning as back then. And it's great to see those students where they're like, I just really want to get better, show me the way, or I need help here. And it's just really, really, I guess, gratifying to just be a part of their journey, and just to see if I can just give them the nudge that they need to go to their end goal.
Yeah.
I want to go back in time in your story to your time at Disney a little bit, to expand on it, zoom in. When you said you started as a Disney intern and they were working on Princess and the Frog around you, well, that's kind of like a magical time. It was the last 2D film that they worked on, essentially. What do you remember at all what the environment was like when they made the announcement that they weren't doing it anymore? Like, did you care at all as just a person there?
So, well, this is from my perspective.
Yeah.
So, when I was there, I felt like those 2D artists knew this movie had to be a success, or it was it. So they put all their passion in there. I am serious. It's like they gave everything to this movie, And then when I still remember that day when the box office came, I believe it was a couple weeks later, they called everybody, like the whole studio, the 2D and 3D, into one of their studio lot. We're in there. The CEO was in there, and he made, it was a heartfelt, speech, but it was basically, he was saying, this is like this, we're turning a new leaf. It's going to become a 3D studio. And there, it was very sad, just seeing just like they gave it so much, and then just stuff that they can't really control affected how their future or career, lies.
Yeah. I think that's probably a really poignant thing to have experienced, considering that didn't even happen that long ago, and we're sort of feeling like we're fighting that again now.
Yes.
Say we, the universal we, the animation industry is fighting that now, to like, we can't lose our storyboard artists, we can't lose the medium itself, concept artists, against whatever they're trying to replace us with. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, I think it's another tipping point that's gonna happen to the industry now too. So I'm not sure how it's gonna end up, but yeah, I see that too, and it's tough. It's tough, but I guess as a human, one of the greatest, I tell my student this, like, one of the greatest tool or ability is just to have the ability to create whatever you can think of. And I think that will never be lost, even, if you can have a machine to do it, eventually we can all know how visually a machine, the look of a machine is. And this is my perspective. It still feels soulless. It doesn't have that human touch. And I feel we'll still prevail. It sounds like the movie Terminator.
We will defeat the robots.
Yes, we will prevail.
I also want to shout out, I feel like my friend Tony would be upset if I didn't do this. Sing on Tangled, correct me if I'm wrong, you modeled the bunny that scares Rapunzel and Flynn.
Yes, and that bunny gave me nightmares.
The bunny and many trees.
Many trees, the crown.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. The beautiful crown.
The satchel. I didn't even know what a satchel was. I remember when they assigned me that task and they told me to come in a room with racks of, in my head, it looks like laptop bags. And they're like, just take a look at these. And I was like, what does this mean?
Just draw us a bag.
Yeah. So I didn't know, but yeah, that's the satchel.
The iconic satchel was made by Sing. Round of applause. And the crown. And the many trees. I feel like that's very important. There were many trees.
Many trees. Yes. But yeah,
Do you have any? I was gonna ask if you had any favorite memories from working on Tangled.
it was just, yeah, when I first started, when you're young, you always think you're badass, right? You're like, all right, I'm ready. They signed me up for this movie. They love me. I went through all the trials to make the cut. All right, they give me a character. No, I worked on trees for months and months, and then slowly they gave me a bunny, which why it scared the crap out of me, because that was kind of like my first character ever in the history of my career. It was that bunny, and but yeah, that bunny, and then it was drawn by Glenn Keane, and it was a lot of pressure just trying to get it right. There's right, and there's also Disney right, which is 100 hours later. but yeah, and then I slowly worked up on bunnies. I did a goose, a goat, and then I guess my next memory was when they first gave me a character. I was like, oh wow, this is awesome. And then it also scared the crap out of me too. Like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna break the whole movie. But I believe they gave me a soldier, one of the soldiers that was chasing Flynn Rider. And yeah, it was just the progression of how I slowly just gained trust, which is very important. And, studio life and department is, gaining trust and being reliable. So yeah, just the progression of where I started and how I ended up was one of my best memory there. And then all the perks.
Yes. Tell me about the cereal. Do you have a favorite?
Cereal, I am Fruit Loops guy. Yes. I was too shy then. I would only eat it once a day. But if I knew now, I was like, man, I'll just consume that
Way
for
more
lunch,
cereal.
dinner. Yeah. And then they have bagels, and then they just have all these classes that you can take during lunches. Like sculpting classes, drawing classes, and yeah, I wish if I went back, I would just have totally just consumed everything that they gave me. Yeah. But I'm just, everybody was really, really nice. My mentor was amazing. They were very patient with me. And I feel like without them, I probably wouldn't be here. So I'm very, very grateful for that opportunity.
Yeah. And transitioning in your timeline, I think that moment when they let you go and you thought you were going to work there forever is very real. Because when I transitioned from jobs, I also thought I was going to work at that first job forever. There's something like when you get your first big boy job, you're like, I'm going to work here forever. I don't know why. Maybe that's just how I pictured it. But it's like, yeah, this is it. I have to work here forever because that's how jobs are. And then it's not. And especially, I don't know, when you say you get a job at Disney and you're like, this is peak. This is where everyone wants to work. What do you do when you hit the peak? And then what? So your story of like going home and finding family and being able to realize that Disney doesn't have to be everything.
Yeah.
I really appreciated that like reminding me and others, I hope, that there is other ways to keep doing what you love, not at a big studio.
Yes. And there is that, that is a great goal, but I feel like there's, you got to get a little bit of everything, right, to be content as a human being, right? You got to be happy at your work. You got to be happy in your personal life. You guys have good relationships. So even though, I was there in La La Land, doing some stuff, some days I was a little bit lonely too, because sometimes you just miss, just playing video games with your brothers or your grade school friends, or, just hanging out with family. So I feel like I said that break where I had to choose. I have never ever went back and say what if, because I'm just happy with my life. I have a son who it's amazing. Sometimes I don't tell him that, but yeah, I'm very fortunate to have a job that's close to family and friends, and old Sing is like, that's good enough.
You're not even that old, Sing.
I am old. I tell my students I'm old so I can tell them old stories, like a long time ago before YouTube.
I put things on CDs.
Yes, before CDs. Yeah, I wrote on paper. uh, but yeah, let's.
So continuing the timeline, what did you do for 12 years at this other studio? Like, what was their main role? Did you go through a bunch of different roles? That's a long time to be somewhere.
Yes.
Like,
So,
half my life.
oh man, now I feel old.
Melissa.
Now I feel. So we did. So my first character was actually Donald Duck. Donald Duck on a Looney Tunes short. Honestly, I didn't do a good job on it because I actually had to give it to another modeler.
Wait, do you mean
But
Daffy Duck?
oh, Daffy Duck. I'm so sorry. All the ducks are the same. But
wait.
Daffy Duck, yeah, Daffy Duck. So
Yeah.
But after that, there's always trust is a big thing in production life because as you know, deadlines is very important, right? So as a production coordinator, producer, you have to gain trust with them because then they'll be the one that assigns you the task, and with the supervisor too, also. So trust is very important. So I after that, I had to build that trust again at RealFX. And so we did Looney Tunes short. Our first movie was actually Free Birds. It was like a Thanksgiving movie. And then I guess my favorite memory at RealFX was Jorge. He did El Tigre and Maya and the Three.
Jorge Gutierrez.
Yes. Yes, the Book of Life. And then he's been trying to pitch this movie forever. And RealFX was trying to prove themselves like, hey, we can make a good movie. So I was in the pre-production team, and they gave me this drawing of this character, which I have no idea it was like a human or it was Zaboba.
Mhm.
So it was in 2D, and Jorge's style is very 2D, right? And they were trying to figure out if his style works in 3D. And my task was, just to create a digital maquette in ZBrush, just trying to see if it works in 360. And I was really nervous because I remember, I didn't do too well with Daffy Duck. but my supervisor believed in me, and I spent 2 weeks on this. I was like, okay. And then they did walkies. They came, so back then we had to do walkies. They come each of your desks and take a look at it, and you just show what you got. So I've been sweating this all morning, and then I load up the turntable. I show to them. I think there were about 15 people behind me, and I show to them. It was quiet. It was very quiet. and then Jorge grabbed my shoulders like this, and he shook me, and I was like, "Oh man, this is really bad." And he's like, "We're making this effing movie now."
Oh my god.
Yeah, and yeah, Jorge is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I say there's uppers and downers, where people when people come in a room, they bring the energy up or energy down. Jorge always brings the energy up. Yes, and he's an artist first, so which is great because modeling is technically kind of like an art department. So that was one of my favorite movies to work with. Just not because it looks cool, the design looks cool. Just Jorge was very enjoyable to work with. After Book of Life, we tried to pitch more movies, but it all depends on execs and bigger studios and money. So that didn't pan out, but he was able to move on and do bigger and better things. But Book of Life kind of opened doors for RealFX. So we slowly worked on more movies for other studios. And I know I'm trying to think the timeline. I believe so Book of Life. I think we did Ugly Dolls maybe. And then a couple more other movies, but the next big one was Scooby-Doo.
Nice.
Scooby-Doo. I was also in the pitch department. So mainly the pitch department is just one person from each department. And our goal is to work with the director and the art director and kind of help them out and pitch it to whatever studio they're working on to get it greenlit. So I was on Scooby do pre-production for almost 2 years, just trying to get that movie greenlit. Just did so many versions of Scooby, from realistic Scooby to just me. They even brought a Dane. Yeah, they even brought a Dane, and we just played around with it.
No.
But eventually, we did a quick kind of like a sizzle reel of Scooby and the environment, and WB finally greenlit it, and we started production. But the thing is, I was mainly in the pre-production, so when they actually started the movie, I had to jump on another movie to do the pre-production for that. So after that, I worked on Rumble. It's based on a comic called Monster on the Hill, and I did pre-production maquette scope for them, and then I was the character lead for that movie. And then that was Paramount, and then Netflix wanted us to work on, I forgot the title. It's some Outback movie. I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry. On so much cool stuff.
No,
he kept it all in his head.
Was it Back to the Outback? It was just I was a character lead for that, and then my last movie that I worked on with him was The Monkey King, which was a movie that we didn't really start it. Another studio called Tangent Studio in Canada started it. But
I love Tangent.
Yeah, I love them too. They use Blender, and but I guess something happened with the contract or whatever. But we had to finish that movie, so that was my last movie. I worked at Real Effects, and then I realized when I worked at Mind Show, two of the modelers there actually worked at Tangent Studio, so we had some stuff to talk about.
Who were they?
Valeria and Mario.
OMG, the overlap. We already interviewed from Lydia a few weeks ago.
Yes. I basically publish whatever they did. And they did a couple blend shapes, but and that's it.
Saying that's so awesome. I didn't realize, because your LinkedIn is what I was using to like get your background. That's how we stalk people on this podcast. None of that's on your LinkedIn. Just sneaky impressive. It is? I didn't catch all the
There's like
titles.
A little image that like shows the movies and some like character buttons.
I didn't do a good job stalking. I'm a liar.
No problem. Yeah. It's at the end of the day, it's when I look back, because I don't know, I kind of feel like I'm retired from the animation. I don't really remember all these projects. That's why I have trouble remembering. It's more about just the people, the friendship for me. I actually had a senior modeler told me that when I started at Real Effects, because I was like, if only Disney called me, a couple of weeks before. He was like, because he was basically my age right now back then, and he's like, hey dude, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what you worked on. It's just it's just the people you hang out with, the connection you made. That's you're gonna remember that, and you're not gonna remember most of the titles or project that you worked on. And as you can see, I don't remember half of the stuff that I worked on. But I know people. I remember people's name, and the relationship we made along the journey. So
that's actually really nice advice, because we're always looking to get advice for upcoming people and students. Feel free to share your podcast with the students.
Yes.
Plug the pod.
Yes.
But we're always looking to find different ways to look at the industry, and I think a lot of it is chasing that title. And someone who's been working in it only a few years, it is the people. Like, I look back and I'm like, I mostly just remember the people. I don't remember what it was we were stressing about specifically that day, but I do remember who I was stressing about with,
Yeah.
And then So now sometimes I don't even watch the stuff I finish. It's just it's just I don't know. I guess I'm more about the journey kind of guy than the actual end product. I was like, all right, that sometimes I remember, that the all the time we all work together as a team to make this Barbie Island work. But I can never, if you ask me what I, even though I watched all the episodes, if you ask me what the episodes were, I can never remember it.
Yeah. That reminds me of something I was thinking about in my life recently, sort of similar to what you're describing. Like, so I have worked in higher ed for the past 2 years, similar to you, not as a professor, but you can kind of get into the cycle of things. And for me, doing like programs and working with groups, it like is very cyclical.
Yeah.
One thing happens the next semester and the next term, and we're discussing the same things, but I just like think about the people that I'm leaning on, the team that I'm on, and just like this is one aspect of my life, the work of it, but the fact that I'm building a life with amazing people. And I don't know where I was going with this.
Yeah. No, I totally understand. Like, hey, I don't want to sound morbid, but at the end of the day, your titles and movies don't come to your funeral, right? Your friends and your family do. So that's the most important thing.
I'll put that on a t-shirt or something. That's a great quote. I'm going to start a new segment, Marv, right here, right now. This is our new vocab corner. We're going to teach the people some terms that they may not know what they mean, because we're also an educational podcast. Saying, can you tell us what a maquette and ZBrush mean? Because you threw them out earlier, and I was like, I know vaguely what ZBrush is, because people always like, my ZBrush isn't working. And I'm like, on it, but I don't fully know what it is.
So a long time ago, when Disney worked on, in the 90s, I still call them the golden age, where they did Little Mermaid, Aladdin. They had a sculpture that comes in, sculpt the characters. So this will help out the animators trying to, when they draw, it will always be on model based on the views of it. So ZBrush it's a sculpting tool. You sculpt, it's more there. Well, in animation, we tend to treat it more as a kind of like a pre-production, where you make a sculpture out of it to either showcase the director, art director, like, hey, this is what it looks like in 3D. And a maquette is just a sculpture of the asset. But yeah, it's just one important process of trying to find the true character, how the character looks like in all the angles, just trying to figure out if the 2D concept is translating to 3D, because of course that's one job of the modeler, and is, as an artist, you just gotta figure that out, just to make the look and feel of the 2D design match the 3D. You'll have to make compromise, because when you draw in 2D, it's a little cheated, right? Especially, if you look at Mickey Mouse, his ears is always facing the correct view. So you can't really contort that in 3D, correct? So you'll just have to make compromise to make that work. So so we use ZBrush as a sculpting tool to create digital sculptures. That's called maquette.
Okay.
Yeah.
ZBrush is the tool. Maquette is the 3D sculpture.
Yes.
Okay. This will end up on my glossary.
Mars making this amazing glossary on their Tumblr.
Beautiful. Share that with me. Yes.
Yeah, it's got all
you
the
want me to share
industry
my
terms.
Yeah, I'll take a look. Yeah.
You could share with your students. That way, like, if you
Yes.
ever need like an encyclopedia, you're like, here you go. Here's a blog. It's got all the words you need.
Yes. Hey, I'm gonna give them extra credit for whatever episode they listen to. If they write a little, synopsis, they can have extra points. Yes.
I love that, actually.
Yes.
We're homework now.
Yes,
Oh my
yes, your
gosh.
just the homework. Yes, yes.
We're on the syllabus.
Yes, yes, yes.
I'm
Extra
actually
credit.
crossing that off my bucket list. I'm on a syllabus.
Hey, I think it's important, for any young artist everyone's path is different. So it's good to just experience, listen to all the different paths. There is no right way. There's no wrong way. There's just a way.
Yeah.
There's just a way.
So,
I'm still trying to
rename
figure
the
out my
show.
way. Yeah. I see. Yes. There's just a
Not one
way.
right way.
Yeah. We're all just trying to figure out our way still. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yes.
I'm excited. I'm excited to see the students' synopsises, their takeaways. I love that.
Yes. And who's their favorite, artist? Doesn't have to be me.
It's actually less points if it's not you.
Yes. No. More points. So that at least they're truthful.
Yeah.
Fair.
So again, as somebody who's in higher ed, I want to hear about, if you're willing to talk about it, the politics of your department.
Oh, yeah. So I, coming from production to, I guess they call it academia. It's a little different. It's a little different. There's a lot of, I guess I'm gonna say, old school ways. So school still they still do thing. They move a little bit slower. I'm still trying to get a grasp of that because I know in movies, especially commercials or show, we move real quick, right? And if I send a message, an email, if I don't get it back in 10 minutes, then let me ping you. But in at school, I'm gonna have to wait till days to get a reply back. So and that
Can't imagine.
and yes, and change is very slow too because it's a big wheel. You have to get a lot of approval, and I'm still trying to learn about that too. Where I feel like I got a grasp of how studio life works. What were things that I can push, and what are things that I can take a step back because there are little cues you can learn where I guess where to survive, I guess, to survive and working in the industry for long. So I'm still trying to figure that out. When working as a professor is how I'm not trying to say it sound like Game of Thrones, but how do I play the game?
Yeah.
Right. How do I play a game? How do I figure it out? How does the big machine work? I'm still at that point, just trying to figure out. Because right now, teaching, I love teaching, but I didn't know there's other stuff other than teaching too. Like committees and like meetings and all that stuff, which I'm still trying to figure that out. I'm still learning.
Yeah.
I'm still learning.
A whole new world.
It is a whole new world. It's scary, but it's good to be scared, so you can be challenged a little bit.
Yeah. So the draw to higher ed and academia was the stability, and then now you're in the stability part of higher ed, which is that it's slow moving.
Yeah, it is slow moving. And then instead of, right now, as I teach my first semester, I'm just trying to figure out if it's too much or too little for the students. And back then, when we were doing models, as we're trying to figure out, we're talking about days, maybe weeks, right? Now I have to translate that and think about semesters and even years. Like, let me try this out. If it doesn't work, then let me try something out next semester. So I have to change that mindset where I'm not really seeing the end result until maybe years later.
Right.
Yeah. Which is a big change for me. Yeah. Because as Melissa know, we move in a very fast pace. So yeah.
It's like that character's got to be done this week.
Yeah. So it's well, hopefully I'll figure it out.
I believe in you. And if you ever need just support from a friend, we're here.
For sure. Yes, definitely.
Marv for the academia and me just for the good times.
Yes.
Marv's way more involved in the politics of academia than me.
It's true.
Yes. It's challenging both parts. So
Yeah.
I learned last year what the difference between a chancellor and a provost is. And
I don't know. Still don't even know what a provost is.
from what I understand, they're in charge of the academic side of the house.
Okay.
Whereas the chancellor is like image and student life.
Okay. Yeah, there's so many roles. It's crazy. Yeah.
And they all have
It is
acronyms.
crazy.
And the acronyms.
I know. Yeah, I've no. Yeah, they all have like the longest titles ever. It's crazy. Yeah, but we'll figure it out.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, we are almost at time. In our last minutes, do you have any final words of advice, wisdom? You've already given us so many, so.
I have. I don't know. I apologize if I blab. I do that in class all the time.
No, the whole point of this is to yap.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I guess my advice that I tell students is most students, they don't really know what they want to do. They want to try everything, which is great, But eventually, I think if you want to just have the best way, not the best, well, just a path to go is I think you eventually you have to pick, right, your skill set. My best advice is, pick something you really, really enjoy doing. Because for the most part, if you really enjoy something, then if you're probably good at that, or it comes easier to you than something else. And the other advice is, if you enjoy doing that, then you won't hate yourself, because you're going to be doing that thousands of hours, and even after you get hired, you're going to be doing it thousands of hours. And then other than that, don't really get infatuated with software. It's always changing. The best modelers I know they usually just use the same tools. Modeling is essentially sculpting, and sculpting it's just artistic skill. So don't just don't skip the basic skill. It's hand-eye coordination, drawing, and that's it. Yeah, tools are cool, but it's not the end all be all. Yeah,
Right.
and it's always changing. Yeah,
Beautiful. Put it on the wall. Send it out.
Yeah, we'll put that on coffee mugs.
I was trying to rhyme. Tools are cool, but I don't know. Don't be a fool. Cool. I have no idea. I have no idea.
And for the students listening, if you made it this far, make sure you send this to Sing on the Canvas for extra credit.
Yes,
yes. Sneaky thing on the syllabus to make sure you read the syllabus.
Yes, and if you watch this, listen to this, and if you email me, tools are cool, but I'll give you extra credit.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Sing. It was so nice to talk to you, get to know you better, and I miss you. And everyone at Mind Show, all the moderators miss you too. They told me to say hi. And
yes, tell them to say hi. I'll try my best to, I think, come on Friday, one of these Fridays, to say hi.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, and it was nice meeting you, Marv.
It was good to meet you too.
Yes. All right. Have a rest of your Sunday night.
That was our conversation with Sing.
What a bright and wonderful story. So many decision points. So many things that led him here to being an assistant professor of practice.
Of animation and games at the University of Texas in Dallas. Long titles comes with the job.
A long title.
Sing's really great. Like he said, we didn't get to work together very long, but even in the short few months, it's 2 or 3 months, maybe less, I was like, what a wonderful person. And with an amazing story. I'm so grateful.
I noticed that you had a bit of surprise on your face when he said he did modeling for the Book of Life and worked with Jorge Gutierrez.
I didn't know that. He never told me. I knew he worked on Tangled, but like all of the other films, never mentioned them. And I've met Jorge Gutierrez like many times at different events. And so the fact that these two people I've met have worked together, it's just very crazy to me. It kind of blows my mind. I can picture Jorge Gutierrez. So that scene played out very clearly in my mind. And it's like, wow, what a small world.
Yeah, 1 degree of separation. Are you still blocked on his Twitter?
I don't use Twitter anymore, but probably. Not on Blue Sky. Follow him on Blue Sky.
Got it.
I'm trying to get famous on Blue Sky just for liking people's art. That's my new brand on Blue Sky.
You're going to be famous for being a fan?
Yeah, pretty much. Because I noticed if I just follow a bunch of people who make pretty art, I can bring the same energy I use at work of when people send me their work. I'm like, beautiful, approved, do that, put on Blue Sky. I could be everyone's producer.
Yeah.
The people's producer.
That's lovely. I love that.
I want to be a positive source.
Social media.
Yeah. So follow me.
Okay.
But yeah, that was super fun and very informative and lots of wisdom. Make 1 million little t-shirts and pins when we can't merch.
Tote bags?
No tote bags. I can't fall to tote life. We can't. Can't do that to people.
Okay.
You know it's a crime. The amount of tote bags people have in their homes and then give them another. The problem.
It's true. I have too many.
They gotta stop. It's wasteful. They're not cute and they gotta stop.
They gotta stop.
Anyway, let's say bye to our listeners. Thank you for listening. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Do your homework.
And remember, there's
not
one
right
way
to become a professor in animation.
There's not one right way to receive all the perks of a Disney employee.
There's not one right way to drive all the way to Burbank from Texas.
There's not one right way to move back to Texas.
There's not one right way to figure out what to do after you get fired by Disney. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.
Bye.